How's it going, everyone? Bass here. So the Green Bay Packers playoff hopes are still alive. So you know what that means. This is the fourth rendition of how the Green Bay Packers can make the playoffs, going through all the combinations and percentages. If you are new to this channel, I'd really appreciate it if you went down and left a like on the video as well as subscribe. It supports my channel a ton. Thank you to everyone who's been watching all of these videos and subscribing to my channel. It means a lot to me. So the Packers going into this game yesterday against the Miami Dolphins, there was 4 main games that happened the day prior, and 4 things that went in Green Bay's favor. The Giants lost to the Minnesota Vikings, that wild 61-yard game winner by Joseph there, the Vikings kicker. It felt really weird cheering for the Vikings all game and getting super excited seeing the Vikings win that game on a 61-yard field goal. But the Packers pretty much needed the Giants to lose, and this really helps them. So, hey, I guess we had to do it as Packers fans. The Lions also lost to the Panthers. Now, this didn't need to happen, but it really helps the Packers, and it makes their path to the playoffs in regards to what the Lions have to do with it very, very more clear, because they play the Lions in Week 18, and now, considering that the Packers still need to win out, then they would have a better record than the Lions in Week 18 if they do beat them, rather than, say, if the Lions were to win out until Week 18 and the Packers were to win out until Week 18, then it comes down to a bunch of tiebreakers, goes down to strength of victory, and things get a little bit more complicated. But that's not the case anymore, because the Panthers, put in work against the Detroit Lions. That was a shock to me. I did not expect that to happen. The Panthers have really been helping out the Packers the past few weeks, beating the Seattle Seahawks, now the Detroit Lions, so I guess I'm kind of a Panthers fan at this point. The Washington Commanders also lost to the 49ers. I think we all saw this coming. The 49ers are playing super, super hot, and the Commanders are not. So we wanted the Commanders to lose. That happened as well. And then also the Seattle Seahawks lost to the Chiefs, another game, you could kind of expect to happen. But nonetheless, all 4 of these games helped the Packers. All 4 of these teams losing helped the Packers, and that's exactly what happened. Then going into yesterday, there was one thing that needed to happen. The Green Bay Packers needed to win the football game against the Miami Dolphins, a very, very good football team, and they did just that. I just posted my reaction video over that game, so if you want to go watch that, just click the link right above. But 26-20 was a very intense game to start, but in the second half, the Packers held the Dolphins to 0 points and did what they needed to do and kept their playoff hopes alive. All right, so without further ado, let's go down the path of how the Green Bay Packers can make the playoffs with 2 weeks remaining in the NFL season. Let's first bring up the playoff picture, and as we see, nothing has changed with the Philadelphia Eagles. They are still the first seed, even though they lost to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, if Dallas does win out and Eagles were to lose out, say if Hurts doesn't play, theoretically, Dallas can take the first seed, but I don't see that happening. I pretty much at this point see the Eagles remaining as a first seed. Theoretically, yeah, the Vikings are very close as well at 12-3, but in order for the Packers to make the playoffs, they got to beat the Vikings this week, which would push them to 12-4 and potentially 2 games back on the Eagles with 1 game remaining. Then we see the second seed here, Minnesota Vikings, 12-3. Packers got to beat them this week. It's in Lambeau. It's in January. I do have high hopes on that. The third seed right now, San Francisco 49ers at 11-4. This team just keeps on climbing. I think they're a very dangerous team going into these playoffs. Tampa Bay, 7-8. Still the 4th seed in the NFC playoffs. 5th seed is Dallas. Nice, impressive win over the Eagles. They're 11-4. The 6th seed is still the New York Giants at 8-6-1. They just lost. The 7th seed is the Washington Commanders at 7-7-1. They just lost, but the Packers likely take one of these spots, given one of these teams loses one more time and the Packers win out. That's pretty much what we're looking at right now. There's not much that needs to happen other than the Packers winning out. Now, if the Packers do win out, which we'll get into the percentages here in a bit, their odds go way, way up, but it's still not 100%. So we're gonna go over everything that needs to happen, which is not much, in order for that percentage to go back up to about 100%. The Packers, making the playoffs. So if we look at the standings here, we see the NFC East still all 4 teams making it, which would be insane. I don't see it sticking this way. The NFC North has Minnesota, obviously. Detroit's still above Green Bay, I guess due to one of the weird tiebreakers, or just because it doesn't really matter right now. Them both being 7-8, obviously. If the Packers won out, they would have more wins than the Detroit Lions going into the playoffs there. So we've Green Bay in 3rd at 7-8, Tampa Bay at 7-8, Carolina and New Orleans are both at 6-9, and could both technically take this division. Carolina's playing pretty hot. They could end up taking the division. Then San Francisco has that one locked there. They're 11-4, but Seattle can still slip into the playoffs as they're also 7-8, and Green Bay 7-8. They have a path as well to the playoffs. But nonetheless, there's just a lot of teams around this 7-8, 7-7-1, 8-6-1, all that type of mark, and the Packers are one of them. All right, so now moving into all the combinations and percentages. The Packers right now, as it sits, have a 30% chance to make the playoffs. Now, if we go into this and we just select the Packers winning against the Vikings this upcoming week in Lambeau and winning against the Lions in week 18 in Lambeau, that jumps all the way up to around 87%. Some websites have it as high as at 91%. Nonetheless, the Packers right now, if they simply win out, have a very, very good chance to make the playoffs. Now, it's not controlling their own destiny. That doesn't mean the Packers win these 2 games and they're in the playoffs. Things can still go wrong with other games, such as the Giants winning out, the Commanders winning out, which then would, force the Packers out of the playoffs. I don't see that happening, but nonetheless, it's not fully in their control. But hey, this is a really good odds for the Packers simply just winning the remainder 2 games of the season, which will be hard on its own. What the Packers did against the Miami Dolphins yesterday gives me hope. They played really, really well in December so far. They're kind of starting to find their groove on offense. Their defense is creating turnovers once again, and they're finally looking like maybe a team that could sneak into the playoffs and become dangerous. And I know a lot of people are in the comments, every single video I post of this, saying, oh, their season's over, this is never going to happen, and oh, copium and all this. Keep commenting that, because I know you guys are scared of the playoffs if you're an NFC fan, especially a Vikings fan, because you know what's going to happen. The Vikings are going to go in as a 2nd or 3rd seed, and they're going to get bounced in the 1st round. And if they're the 2nd seed and the Packers are the 7th seed, just saying, look out. Just 2 weeks remaining in this NFL season. We're going to start with week 17 here, and the Packers do play at 4:25, so there's a couple 1 o'clock games before them that we're going to look out for. Now, it doesn't really matter if the Lions lose again, because if the Packers win out, they're going to be beating the Lions, like I said before, so we're not even going to worry about that game. If the Bears were to win, it would raise their percentage a little bit, but we really don't need to watch that game, and nonetheless, I don't see the Bears beating the Lions. But the Colts and Giants is another game we do want to watch for, but the most important one here is the Browns at Commanders, because if the Browns were to beat the Commanders, the Packers' chances rise a lot more. We basically need the Commanders to lose 1 more game. If the Commanders lose 1 more game and the Packers win out, they're pretty much in the playoffs. So, and the Browns beating the Commanders, I could see happening. The Browns are a good team. Deshaun Watson hasn't played well by any means, but nonetheless, I could see that happening. And as you see, when we choose the Browns beating the Commanders, the Giants-Colts game really doesn't matter much. Then if we go into here and we have the Green Bay Packers beating the Minnesota Vikings, that brings the Packers all the way up to a 58% chance going to the playoffs going into week 18. Then in week 18, it's simple. The Green Bay Packers beat the Detroit Lions, they're in the playoffs. 100% chance to make the playoffs. So as you see here, if the Commanders lose once more, the Packers beat the Vikings, we go into week 18, the Packers beat the Lions, they're in the playoffs. That's what needs to happen. But let's just say next week, Commanders versus Browns, Taylor Heinicke goes out there and has a great game, and the Commanders end up winning that game. So the Packers are still going to beat the Vikings. We're basically going to lock this in. Hey, the Packers are beating the Vikings in this scenario. Then the Giants-Colts game is a little bit more important. If the Colts beat the Giants, the Packers percentage goes from 43 all the way up to 52%. Then at that point, it's pretty similar on week 18. It's not just, oh, Green Bay needs to win, but let's say they do win. They're up to 91%. Then it's going to be down to the Eagles beating the Giants or the Cowboys beating the Commanders. So again, if the Commanders win this week, we're going to be then again at the mercy of other teams in week 18. If they lose this week, it's pretty much Packers win out, they're in. But at week 18, the problem with this is both the Eagles and the Cowboys might not have much to play for in this week, whereas the Giants and Commanders definitely do. The Eagles may be locked into the number 1 seed. The Cowboys would likely be locked into the number 5 seed as they're the 2nd team in the division, and that's the highest they could go if the Eagles win that division. So that's going to be an issue. That's going to be, a potential curveball in this whole situation. But nonetheless, in week 18, that's how it's going to have to be if the Commanders win next week. And that's based on the fact if the Colts beat the Giants this week. Let's say both the Giants and the Commanders win this week with the Green Bay Packers. They're still at a 58% chance. But then when going into week 18, that's with the Packers win. So they're still only at a 58% chance. So if the Giants and Commanders win this week, then it goes down to basically 1 game in order for the Packers to make the playoffs. If they win out, and if the Commanders and the Giants win this week, basically the Cowboys are going to have to beat the Commanders next week. And if that happens, then the Packers are in the playoffs. But if that doesn't happen, they're out of the playoffs. So it's a very interesting situation, but I don't see both the Commanders and Giants winning this week. I do see the Browns beating the Commanders, which makes this road a lot easier. Then we don't have to worry about the Eagles or Cowboys resting starters week 18. Simply the Packers go into Lambeau and beat the Detroit Lions to make the playoffs. But hey, these are all the combinations. It's any given Sunday. The Commanders could beat the Browns, the Giants could beat the Colts, vice versa. So we'll see exactly what happens. It's nice that both of these games are at 1 o'clock. I mean, nonetheless, the Packers have to beat the Vikings, but at least we'll kind of get a situation and see what is starting to unfold going to the back end of Week 17 and into Week 18. So as of right now, it's pretty much just root for any team playing the Giants or the Commanders. Right now, we don't really have to worry about the Seahawks. We don't really have to worry about the Lions. And just for the sake of it, because I know I get a lot of comments, oh, what if the Packers lose another game? So I'm going to do this really, really quickly. If the Packers lose this week against the Vikings, a lot has to happen for them to make the playoffs. The Bears have to beat the Lions. The Eagles have to beat the Saints. The Buccaneers have to beat the Panthers. The Browns have to beat the Commanders. Then in Week 18, the Packers have to win. The Rams have to beat the Seahawks, and the Cowboys have to beat the Commanders. If they lose another game, technically they're still not eliminated, which is crazy, and this would be the way to get in, but I don't see this happening. I think the road to the playoffs is the Packers winning out. So as I said, as week and week go by, it's getting more and more likely that the Green Bay Packers may pull this off. They may sneak into the playoffs. And a lot of the times in the playoffs, this is the type of team you don't want to play. The team that, had a rough start to the NFL season, got hot at the end of the season, won 4 to 5 games straight, snuck in as a 6 and 7 seed, and went on a hot streak. That can definitely be the case with the Green Bay Packers. As I said earlier, seems like they're starting to find their identity a little bit more, create more turnovers, find receivers that can make plays like Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and all that on offense. Aaron Rodgers' thumb is finally seemingly better and healthy. So this can happen, and there is a good chance at this point. But that about does it for this video. If you did enjoy that, please leave a like down below. Of course, I will update this next week if the Packers beat the Vikings, but it's going to be a very simple road, as you see here, if that is the case. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.